Welcome back to Rammin' is Racing, your one-stop shop for all things NASCAR, Kaulig Racing, SVG, NASCAR 25, and more. I'm Sean. Thank you for taking a few minutes of your Thursday evening to catch up on a plethora of NASCAR news. The topics for this video include Tony Stewart possibly running more than one race for Kaulig and Ram. According to the head of Stellantis, the goal still is that Dodge re-enters the NASCAR Cup Series for the Daytona 500 in 2027. We'll talk about why that's unlikely, but why that's their goal at the same time. We have some further clarification on the SVG WeatherTech Trackhouse situation and more. Our question for this video is, do you think Dodge will be ready to return to the Cup Series by 2027? In part two of that question, could Trackhouse still be an option? Well, Trackhouse is technically a Tier 1 Chevrolet team. They do not make their own engines. So there's a big asterisk there. When we talked about the teams we heard were rumored to be involved in Stellantis' return to NASCAR, we said one was Trackhouse and two was Kaulig Racing. Kaulig Racing ended up being the Ram anchor team. Trackhouse ended up not being involved, despite them having meetings with Ram and Stellantis. Could there still be a door open for Trackhouse, SVG, Ross Chastain, and Connor Zilisch to be big-time players for Stellantis and Dodge, possibly as soon as 2027? Comment down below and share your thoughts there. First up, so we previewed it off the beginning. Tim Kuniskis, the head of Stellantis and many other divisions that involve them, said, and it's not the first time he said it, it's not the second time he said it, but it's the third time he said it. He said, well, he's been told by basically everyone involved that it's very unlikely that they can be ready for the 2027 Daytona 500. That their goal is still, in fact, to have Dodge's return to NASCAR in the 2027 Daytona 500. Look, the 2027 Daytona 500 is slightly more than a year away. That is not a lot of time. That being said, we have reported on several occasions that work is currently proceeding behind the scenes on not only a body for the Cup Series, but an engine for the Cup Series. It's not like they're sitting around just debating this. They're actively working towards it. However, there are some current rules in place, given where they are in the timeline now, that would prohibit them from being into the 2027 Daytona 500 in season. However, NASCAR may have, they gave them a wink and a nudge and said, if you spend the money and you're able to be ready by then we'll bend the rules a bit and allow you guys in. Now, personally, for me, I still believe the most likely outcome for this is you will see Kaulig Racing and probably one other team debut in the 2028 Daytona 500 running Dodges. Now, if they can be ready for next season, that's great, but it'll be a work in progress season. But even as it stands now, Kaulig Racing only has 11 trucks ready. 11, that's it. That's not very many. Now, they'll have more. I'm assuming by the time they get to Daytona, you might be able to add 4 or 5 to that list. But at the moment, they only have 11 trucks ready to go. That's not a ton. So can Dodge be ready for a much bigger challenge with many more moving pieces involved by the 2027 Daytona 500? Time will tell, but I'll give them this. They're ambitious, and I definitely like to see that, and I like the confidence that Tim has in it. He didn't guarantee it, but we'll see. Along with that, though, in that same news conference, Tony Stewart mentioned that it might not be a one-off with Kaulig and Ram. Originally it started that way, but it sounds like he's open to running more, and I can't help but circle San Diego and go, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson in the same truck race. That's going to bring in TV ratings. That's going to excite fans. Maybe get some other names involved. Not saying it's a lock, but I would not be shocked if Tony Stewart runs that San Diego race for Kaulig and for Ram. Ram Race for the Seat, Episode 3. They ran late models, and I have to say, holy crap, did they bang up some equipment. There's this one wreck early on where the guy who caused the wreck, first of all, turn 1, race 1, Landon Huffman, and I forget who the other driver was, overshoots turn 1, and really just, they both take themselves out of the race right off the gate. And then there was multiple other, physical incidents. I believe Trevor Ward was involved in a very physical one. There was one later on in the race where someone else took out another driver. Look, I can't say I was all that impressed with the road racing ability that was on display for the late models, but it was fun to watch. We still don't know who won because episode 4 is going to show us who the winner is and then move on to the marketing side of things. So it's a solid episode. I still think they're rushing things at the end. I still don't think they're spending enough time with the drivers. And I do understand why people are annoyed with Chris Rice. I get it. I think, deep down, Chris Rice is a genuinely good dude, but I think sometimes he gets in his own way. Other news, Grizzly has re-upped their deal, Grizzly nicotine patches, with Kaulig Racing. Last year, I believe they covered somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 to 16 races for them between the two cars. They're going to cover 27 races between the two cars. So that's a significant sponsor increase for Kaulig Racing. Pretty big deal, too, considering they have no Chevrolet support this year. And last, but certainly not least, we have the SVG Connor Zilish WeatherTech situation. This story has kind of gone all over the place. Now, if you look closely on the hood of the 88 and the 97, you still see the WeatherTech.com. But in terms of the logo showing up as an associate sponsor elsewhere on the car, it does not. And we were told last night, take it with a grain of salt, that SVG still has several open races for this season due to the WeatherTech situation not panning out, but that all hope might not be lost, and WeatherTech still might return for a couple of races this year, whether it's for SVG, Zilish, or both. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. It sounds like both drivers have personal deals with WeatherTech, because WeatherTech is no longer listed on the Trackhouse website, and they used to be. So, it's business, right? These things happen. We'll have to wait and see, but look, SVG's going to have no problem selling his inventory that's open. It might be one-off races, but he's going to have no problem. Like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications to all to keep up with all of our content. For exclusive bonus content, check us out on patreon.com/Kaulignation. Link is in the description below. Don't forget to thank our channel sponsors, Lynn over at SVGNation on Facebook, Alex over at Dingernation on Facebook. We appreciate all that you guys do, and we will see each and every one of you in the next video.